Nope. I am not shaving my head, even if it means I get views. Unless you want me to.
What is up, everybody? Random Random Man here, bringing you my review for Bugonia in one take. Serving as an English language remake for the 2003 South Korean film Save the Green Planet, the plot of this absurdist science fiction black comedy film follows two young men who kidnap a powerful CEO, suspecting she is secretly an alien who wants to destroy Earth. Going into this movie, I was very much looking forward to seeing it, as it is the latest film directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. This is the third film he has directed in a 3-year span. This year, Bugonia, last year, Kinds of Kindness, and the year before that, he did Poor Things, which won star Emma Stone her second Academy Award for Best Actress. I love this movie. This was one of my favorite movies of that year. My favorite film of Yorgos Lanthimos' career that I have seen is 2018's The Favorite, also giving an Academy Award for Best Actress, but for Olivia Colman. Emma Stone was also nominated, so was Rachel Weisz. Both of these movies I love, and Yorgos Lanthimos is known for that aforementioned genre of being in the absurdist comedy, dark comedy, black comedy route. And having seen a lot of his movies, mostly they've worked for me, even if I wasn't necessarily on the same wavelength at times or anything like that. But at the same time, he's unique. He has a unique hand and voice behind the camera that, again, made me excited to go ahead and see Bugonia. This is now the fourth collaboration in a row with Emma Stone and the second collaboration in a row with the first person that I'm about to mention in the cast, as starting out with the cast and their performances. We have Jesse Plemons as Teddy, basically the ringleader of this whole kidnapping scheme, who is a conspiracy-obsessed beekeeper, hence the title of Bugonia coming in here. And Jesse Plemons, I have come to really like him more and more in other projects that I've seen from him as his career has progressed. I first knew him as Todd from Breaking Bad, and now here, again, working with Yorgos Lanthimos again, he is someone who really is assured, at least the way he plays his character, in that he is obsessed with, aliens in outer space and is convinced that Emma Stone's character is really someone who is hell-bent on destroying the Earth. And also, he personally has a connection to the CEO character, and you could say that it's part of the motivation as to why he wanted to kidnap her in the first place. But, Plemons gives a persevering performance here, as does most of the cast, I feel. And just him just having this whole presence about him and just having the stance. I mean, he's good at that, but working with Yorgos Lanthimos, again, I think that totally worked in his favor here. This is probably one of my favorite lead performances of the year so far. Then we have Emma Stone as the CEO named Michelle. Now, she actually shaved her head for this role, as has been played up a lot in the marketing for the movie. And with her working with Yorgos Lanthimos again, I think that she has worked in every performance that she has given, and this is no exception here. Playing someone who has a lot of the hallmarks of Lanthimos' character, is very stoic, very straight-laced, stilted dialogue. That applies with a lot of the other characters here, and just the stylings of what Lanthimos has done. And just her, pleading with the two kidnappers that, she isn't an alien at first, but then also playing along, but then we don't really know where everything is going after a certain point. That, I think, helps. And, Stone is stupendous, as always. I mean, she's one of my favorite actresses working in Hollywood right now, and just her being committed to this role, especially where things get crazier as they progress. Yeah, oh my God, yeah, she gives one of my favorite lead performances of the year as well. Then we have Aidan Delbus as the cousin to Teddy named Donnie, who is intellectually disabled but plays along with what his cousin is doing in kidnapping this powerful CEO of this pharma company. And, I liked him as well. I consider him somewhat of the heart of the movie, if you can say that for a movie as wild as this, because you can see sometimes that he is not necessarily wanting to do this. He even thinks at some points that, oh, his cousin is hurting the CEO and just, I don't know what to feel or whatever like that. But I think that's what helps here, because you get to see the dichotomy of these characters and how desperate humanity as a whole is, not just these characters are, to get what they want and believe what they want to believe in. So I think that helped with his performance here. Then I also have to give a shout out to Alicia Silverstone as the mother to Teddy, who only has really one scene in this movie, but it's an effective one as to seeing a lot of the motivation that happens later on. So yeah, across the board, I think the performances really are grade A. Then we get into the writing. The screenplay was done by Will Tracy, and before this movie, I made the conscious decision to not see the 2003 original film Save the Green Planet, as I wanted to go in to see how the story would play out, though I've heard that there are enough changes to make both of these movies different, even though at their core, they're the same. Two dudes kidnap a powerful CEO and want to, prove that this person is an alien, whatever. That, I think, is really there at the core from what I have looked up. And then, without spoilers, I was not trying to look up what happened, and I wanted to be surprised. And oh, believe me, as this movie keeps going, there's a lot in here to unpack, because the first act, we see parallels between these two groups, the two cousins and the CEO, preparing for their day, while we get to see the main cousin, Teddy, giving his whole rationale as to why they have to do this. He wants to save the planet, specifically looping his cousin into all of this. And then we see the CEO character carry on with her day, rocking out to Chaperone's Good Luck, Babe. And all that together. And then once the kidnapping does happen and the CEO is in captivity, that is when the movie really tries to explore all the themes here. And I think for the most part, it really does hit to see that, these are characters unpacking, what it means to be human, and also what they want to believe in, desperation abound. And you get to see that even with this kind of, I wouldn't want to say heightened reality, just one of the other worlds that Yorgos Lanthimos has created in terms of the directing here. But Tracy's writing, I think, on paper, with the dialogue fitting in what Lanthimos has done before, and just how the movie keeps going along, I was pretty engaged for a lot of it. I'll say that the middle part of the movie was dragging a bit. That is when we get to see, a little bit more freedom in the narrative, I would say, with Stone's character not just being shackled up in the basement of this rundown home the cousins live in. And then the movie really picks up again after this really out of left field moment. Again, no spoilers, happens, and then we kick into the third act. All of this is strung together by how Clemens' character is waiting for a lunar eclipse to come, and it comes in a few days after the initial kidnapping happens, and all this anticipation is coming. And the movie gets further and further into madness when it goes into the third act. And again, I don't want to give anything away. Yorgos Lanthimos' direction really is tight here. That's one of the biggest strengths of the movie, of course, because of how he has set up his own trademark stylings, his signature stylings here. Much like how you can see a Wes Anderson movie, you don't even have to see his name on the cover or in front of the movie. It's a Wes Anderson movie. Same thing with Yorgos Lanthimos. You know that he has made a movie that you're watching just from how symmetrical a lot of shots are, the wide angle lenses, the cinematography here by Robbie Ryan is great as well, and just how the movie feels and looks all together, the way it flows, as I said. It dragged a bit again in the middle, but I think that for the most part, especially when we're engaging in a bunch of dialogue sequences, that is a big strength of the film here. And this one dinner sequence, I thought that was probably my favorite moment of the movie, that led into eventually the left field moments that happens, but then it goes further and further into just lunacy and just so unorthodox or obscure or anything like that. A lot of these really weird words I would describe a weird movie like this. I mean, this is nothing too different from what Lanthimos has done. And running all together at about 2 hours, I thought that this movie really had a lot in here to really dissect. And whether you saw the ending coming or not, the movie ends with a series of shots, like a montage of haunting images, I want to say. because of everything that has transpired, and it has led up to a certain point where I'm like, oh my God, it eventually does get violent. It gets grisly, not initially, but oh my God, it just really goes for it at certain moments. And it's a Lanthimos picture. You kind of have to expect that if you've seen his prior work. And I think that for all that I have said, if you have been on the wavelength of Lanthimos for the most part, I think it would interest you to go ahead and see this movie. If you haven't been into most of his movies, I don't think this is going to convert you. The one movie of his that I've seen that I truly didn't like was The Killing of a Sacred Deer, because I thought that was boring and pretentious. Kinds of Kindness last year I liked mostly, but the last segment of that film, given that it is an anthology piece, the third film specifically, I was not so into and connecting narratively to all this other stuff. I mean, whatever. Again, my two favorite movies that he has directed are The Favorite and Poor Things. So with this, I don't know if this is necessarily going to get the same Academy recognition that those two movies have gotten. I mean, this is kind of more on the same wavelength of like The Lobster, though that did get nominated for Best Original Screenplay, and The Killing of a Sacred Deer, even Dogtooth, the first film of his that I have seen, or the earliest film in his career that I have seen. Yeah, it goes into those sensibilities here, but we'll see how award season plays out. Whether or not it gets attention via awards up to the Oscars, I would have to say that I really enjoyed Bugonia. Other technical elements here that I gotta praise are the original score by Jerskin Fendrix. Coming back after working with Lanthimos on Poor Things, he got an Academy Award nomination for his work here. Again, the way it is shot, the way everything is framed, how it all looks strung together with the editing. Everything here, again, I really enjoyed Bugonia. Again, it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea necessarily, if you know this going in, because it's a Yorgos Lanthimos film, but the way this is all uniquely trying to give us a dissection on humanity and just like, how certain people are thinking up here and just what lengths they're willing to go to get what they want, or just really actualize what they believe in and stuff. I mean, yeah, as absurd as this movie is, it really does have a lot to say in that regard. So with all that being said, I would say that this is something that I definitely recommend you go out and see. And with that, my final verdict for Bugonia is 4 out of 5 stars. Thank you all, as always, for watching. Be sure to like this video, comment on what you thought of Bugonia. Social media links in the description. Subscribe to my channel for more, and I'll catch you on the next movie review.